The Actuate Mental Health Faucet, an initiative dedicated to fostering mental well-being and resilience within our communities. Mental health is a crucial component of overall well-being, affecting how we think, feel, and act in our daily lives. Our program employs a holistic approach to mental health, offering weekly learn-to-earn sessions that are both virtual and physical. These sessions are conducted via Zoom Meet and at designated physical locations, creating an inclusive and supportive environment for all participants. These sessions are designed to provide individuals with practical tools and knowledge to manage stress, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. By learning effective coping strategies and techniques, participants are empowered to take charge of their mental health and support others in their community. Our approach centers on the learn one, do one, teach one methodology. This ensures that participants not only gain valuable insights into mental health, but also apply these lessons in real-life situations and share their knowledge with others. This cycle of learning and teaching fosters a supportive network of mental health advocates. Through the Actuate Mental Health Faucet, we aim to build resilient communities where mental health is prioritized and supported. Our goal is to create a culture of openness and understanding, where individuals feel empowered to seek help and support one another. Join us in this journey towards mental well-being. Together, we can create a brighter, healthier future for all. For more information, visit our website and be part of this transformative experience. Welcome to the Actuate Mental Health Faucet, an initiative dedicated to fostering mental well-being and resilience within our communities. Mental health is a crucial component of overall well-being, affecting how we think, feel, and act in our daily lives. Our program employs a holistic approach to mental health, offering weekly learn-to-earn sessions that are both virtual and physical. These sessions are conducted via Zoom Meet and at designated physical locations, creating an inclusive and supportive environment for all participants. These sessions are designed to provide individuals with practical tools and knowledge to manage stress, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. By learning effective coping strategies and techniques, participants are empowered to take charge of their mental health and support others in their community. Our approach centers on the learn one, do one, teach one methodology. This ensures that participants not only gain valuable insights into mental health, but also apply these lessons in real-life situations and share their knowledge with others. This cycle of learning and teaching fosters a supportive network of mental health advocates. Through the Actuate Mental Health Faucet, we aim to build resilient communities where mental health is prioritized and supported. Our goal is to create a culture of openness and understanding, where individuals feel empowered to seek help and support one another. Join us in this journey towards mental well-being. Together, we can create a brighter, healthier future for all. For more information, visit our website and be part of this transformative experience. Welcome to the Actuate Mental Health Faucet, an initiative dedicated to fostering mental well-being and resilience within our communities. Mental health is a crucial component of overall well-being, affecting how we think, feel, and act in our daily lives. Our program employs a holistic approach to mental health, offering weekly learn-to-earn sessions that are both virtual and physical. These sessions are conducted via Zoom Meet and at designated physical locations, creating an inclusive and supportive environment for all participants. These sessions are designed to provide individuals with practical tools and knowledge to manage stress, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. By learning effective coping strategies and techniques, participants are empowered to take charge of their mental health and support others in their community. Our approach centers on the learn one, do one, teach one methodology. This ensures that participants not only gain valuable insights into mental health, but also apply these lessons in real-life situations and share their knowledge with others. This cycle of learning and teaching fosters a supportive network of mental health advocates. Through the Actuate Mental Health Faucet, we aim to build resilient communities where mental health is prioritized and supported. Our goal is to create a culture of openness and understanding, where individuals feel empowered to seek help and support one another. Join us in this journey towards mental well-being. Together, we can create a bright
Um, Hello, everyone. So, I don't know whether we should wait a little long or we just start. I think we can just start. I can see people have started joining. So I will introduce the topic, then we can continue from there. So good evening, everyone, and good afternoon, Daktari. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm thrilled to see each one of you here, and I want to assure you that you have made an incredible choice by taking this time to invest in yourself and also in your mental health well-being, which is very important, especially in today's world where we have a lot going on, a lot of stresses, a lot of things going on. And today's session, we promise to be not only informative but transformative as we delve into the often difficult and sensitive topic of depression. I know that everyone here has likely encountered depression up close. Maybe you have gone through it yourself, or perhaps you know someone, or even several people who have battled with depression, because depression has become a very common thing in today's world. And whether it's something you have experienced firsthand or through someone close to you, you are aware of the immense challenges it brings. And if it's, especially if it's from a loved one who is struggling with it, you may have felt unsure of how to even help them or even where to start. So today we want to address these very real questions and give everyone in this room a better understanding of how to approach depression constructively. And we are here to learn. And our session is designed to be interactive. So if you have any question, we are going to have a Q&A session towards the end. That will be your moment for you to ask any question about depression. And it can be for yourself or for someone who is close to you. And I think even the most difficult part for helping even those who are battling depression. So I really encourage each one of you to ask questions, and you can, if you're not comfortable talking or turning up your mic to speak, you can put it in the comment box there, or chat box, yes. So make sure that you share your thoughts and make the most of this time together. So remember that this is Learn to Earn session. This is a mental health session. We always have these sessions on Wednesdays. And yeah, so today we are talking about depression. So the session agenda, we are going to have Dr. Brenda Umbane as the topic presenter or the topic master. Dr. Umbane will lead the discussion, giving us comprehensive look at depression and offering practical approaches to managing it. Then after that, we are going to have Dr. Macharia Oringe, our CEO, who will provide further comments and insights to enrich our discussion or our understanding on depression. Then after that, we are going to have a Q&A session, and this will be a chance to engage directly with our speaker, ask question, and gain clarity where you may need that clarity. After that, we are going to have closing remarks and announcements, which by Frida. And then from there, we are going to close the session or adjourn the meeting. So let's make this an impactful, respectful, and supportive session where we can learn and grow together. And thank you all for being here. And let's get started. I'm going to welcome Dr. Umbane so that she can take us through the program today. You're welcome, Dr. Umbane.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So this is a fairly straightforward topic, although it's a topic that is very close to my heart for several reasons. So yes, feel free to ask questions at the end. So our topic today will be about depression. So the definition, according to the World Health Organization, is that depression is a common mental disorder which can present with a depressed or low mood, loss of interest or pleasure in things that were once pleasurable, feelings of guilt or low self-worth, disturbed sleep or appetite, low energy, and poor concentration. So just as a way of introducing the topic, so depression is a common illness worldwide, with about 3.8 of the population affected, which is approximately 350 million people. For ages 15 to 44, it is actually the leading cause of disability in the United States. Then in Kenya, as of 2017, there were about 1.9 million depression cases, and it was ranked 5th after Nigeria at 7.4 million, Ethiopia at 4.5 million, DRC at 2.9 million, and South Africa at 2.4 million. The suicide mortality rates as of 2021 were at 6.1 in every 100,000, with men being at the highest risk of dying by suicide. So this figure might only be reflective of diagnosed hospital cases, with massive underreporting as a large proportion of the population choose not to seek help for various reasons. So this essentially means that there could be other people who might present or have depression, but many people actually go undiagnosed and untreated. So examples of reasons that would hinder people from going to get help would be stigma, poverty, normalization of thinking too much or being stressed, poor health-seeking behavior. So depression is twice as common in women than men, with 20% of women experiencing depression at some point in their lives. But in prepubertal children and young adults, boys and girls are equally affected. So the commonest causes or the risk factors for depression would be 4, but there are others, but these are the main ones. So it is an interplay of different factors. So it could be biological, it could be genetic, it could be situational, and it could be hormonal. So I'll go through each of them one by one. So biological, so there's a neurotransmitter called serotonin, which is a natural mood stabilizer. So everybody produces serotonin, with the highest amount of serotonin being produced by some cells in the gastrointestinal system. And this neurotransmitter regulates sleep, eating, emotion, that is happiness, anxiety, and mood. And reduced levels of serotonin may cause depression. In terms of genetics, heredity may also increase the likelihood of depression by exposing children to the negative effects of their parents' mood disorders. But family members of people suffering from depression are 2 to 3 times more likely to have it than the general population. A lot of mental health disorders also have a genetic component to them, depression being one of them. So this is actually one of the commonest risk factors for depression, and that is situational factors. So any type of trauma, be it a big change or struggle in life, can trigger depression. Common examples that we could all relate to would include job loss, loss of our loved ones, financial crisis, serious or chronic illness, and abuse, physical or sexual abuse. When it comes to hormonal factors, so anytime there's a massive change in the hormonal makeup, for example, postpartum, that is after delivery, or even during pregnancy, could actually predispose one to getting depression. In some diseases, including thyroid disease, use of oral contraceptives, especially the hormonal ones, including progesterone, is believed to be a depressant, premenstrual and postpartum endocrine changes as well. So other risk factors include personality types, because depression is more likely in introverted people or people with anxious tendencies. So what are the common signs and symptoms that would enable us to pick someone having depression? So sadness, where their mood is constantly low all the time, tiredness in as much as they haven't done anything that would warrant them to feel tired, trouble focusing or concentrating, anger issues, irritability. They become easily frustrated. They have a loss of interest in pleasurable or fun activities. They are guilty, even in situations where they don't have to feel guilty. Changes in appetite. So this would include either eating a lot or not eating at all, or eating very little. Little to no energy, too much or too little sleep. So these are the people who you find either sleeping all the time, or people who you find at 3 in the morning or 1 in the morning or 5 in the morning. They really have issues with initiating and maintaining sleep. Anxiety, these are also people who start isolating themselves. They have trouble thinking clearly or making decisions. There's poor performance in what is expected of them in their day-to-day activities, be it at work or school, suicidal thoughts or tendencies. So in severe cases of depression, psychotic symptoms such as hallucinations or delusions might be present. So hallucinations are basically perceptual disturbances which affect any of the 5 senses. So someone could present with seeing people who are not actually there, or seeing things that are not actually there, or hearing voices, or experiencing tastes that are actually not true. And then delusions are just fixed beliefs that are not true. So in severe cases of depression, some people would actually end up having hallucinations or delusions. So this is usually the criteria that we use to diagnose depression in the hospital setup. And this is a criteria that we use to diagnose a type of depression called a major depressive episode. So I'll just go through the criteria briefly. So in criterion A, so there should be 5 or more of the following symptoms, which should have been present during a 2-week period and represent a change from previous functioning. At least one of the symptoms is either 1, depressed mood, or 2, loss of interest or pleasure. So, so this patient will come in with a depressed mood, and the depressed mood will be there most of the day, nearly every day, because as human beings, once in a while, you actually end up feeling low for one reason or another. It doesn't always mean that you're depressed. So the second one would be markedly diminished interest or pleasure in almost all activities that they once enjoyed doing nearly every day. Then significant weight loss or weight gain, or a decrease or increase in appetite nearly every day in this 2-week period. Then insomnia, which is basically lack of sleep, or hypersomnia, where the patient sleeps a lot nearly every day. So psychomotor agitation or retardation nearly every day, fatigue or loss of energy nearly every day, feelings of worthlessness or excessive or inappropriate guilt, diminished ability to think or concentrate or indecisiveness nearly every day, recurrent thoughts of death, recurrent suicidal ideation without a specific plan, or suicidal attempt or plan for committing suicide. And the above symptoms that we've just listed actually end up causing clinically significant distress or impairment in either social, occupation, or other important areas of functioning. And before you actually diagnose somebody as being depressed, you actually need to have ruled out and made sure that it is not as a result of a substance that they've taken or another general medical condition, which can give you the same symptoms. So I'll just go through. So some of these things will repeat, but I'll go through associated features and disorders. So there are so many other symptoms that patients will present with that are not necessarily part of the criteria, but it would still be a good indicator to actually diagnose someone as being depressed. So this include tearfulness, irritability, brooding, obsessive rumination. These are people who would have increased levels of anxiety or end up having phobias. Then some of them would actually present with excessive worry over physical health. So you see this person today, they're coming in with symptoms, then you've try doing a physical examination, everything is normal. You've investigated them, everything is normal. So we start thinking about other mental illnesses. So complaints of non-specific pains, for example, headaches or joint pains, abdominal pains, or other types of body pains. So during a major depressive episode, some individuals will have panic attacks, where they could also present with symptoms such as palpitations, sweating, shortness of breath, fatigue, headaches, among other symptoms. Then in younger children, separation anxiety may occur. So this is where anytime a parent leaves, the child does not want the child does not want the parent to leave, and they become very anxious around it. So other associated features include difficulty in intimate relationships, less satisfying social interactions, or difficulties in sexual functioning, such as anorgasmia in women or erectile dysfunction in men. This may also lead to marital problems such as separation or divorce, occupational problems, which we'd earlier listed, such as loss of jobs, academic problems such as truancy, where someone stops going to school failure as well, where their grades drop, alcohol or other substance abuse, or increased utilization of medical services, where they constantly go to hospital, but there is no other diagnosis that has ever come up. So there's also an increased rate of premature death from general medical conditions. So usually depression often follows psychosocial stressors, as we earlier mentioned. For example, the death of a loved one, marital separation, divorce, childbirth may also precipitate a major depressive episode. So some of the complications we usually generally see as a result of depression. So remember, these are people who've started losing energy, or they don't have any pleasure with what they once considered pleasurable, or they're not eating a lot. So an example would be excess weight or obesity leading to diabetes, hypertension, or heart disease, and other non-communicable diseases. They could also be underweight or malnourished. They could actually end up having alcohol use disorder or substance use disorder as a result of drug misuse. They could have anxiety or panic disorders or social phobia. Family conflicts come up, relationship difficulties and work or school problems, social isolation, suicidal feelings, suicidal attempts, or death by suicide. Then others would start self-mutilating or self-harming, cutting and the likes, and premature death. So there are several common tools that we usually use for screening to see if someone is actually depressed and which type of intervention will be done. So these are usually self-administered questionnaires. So the common ones we use in our setup would be the Beck's Depression Inventory and the PHQ-9 form. Those are for adults, and the Hopelessness Scale for children. Then after that, you will be able to score depression as either mild depression, moderate depression, or severe depression. So mild depression, typically you'll either do counseling or psychotherapy. Then usually moderate or severe depression, most of the time they'll end up being on antidepressants, which are medication. So there are different types of psychotherapy where you basically sit with a therapist. So I'll just describe them briefly, and these are the common ones that we usually use, especially in managing depression. So the first one would be cognitive therapy. So here, the goal is to turn negative thought patterns into positive ones, because a lot of depressed individuals usually have very many negative thoughts. Then therapy sessions are usually structured, and most of the time the patients usually actually end up going, having homework that they need to do and give feedback. And psychotherapy, depending on the severity of the depression, can actually last between 6 weeks to 4 months, or even longer in some cases. Then behavioral therapy, this entails changing behaviors that affect emotions. Then it actually encourages engaging in activities that enhance well-being. Then cognitive behavior therapy is just a combination of the two that we've talked about. Then dialectical behavior therapy. So it is based on cognitive behavior therapy, and it helps patients come to terms with their negative thoughts and find coping mechanisms. So pharmacotherapy is the medication that we essentially give to individuals who are depressed. So the choice of antidepressants is actually primarily based on a review by a psychiatrist, excuse my spelling, the tolerability of certain drugs, the side effects, and the cost, because you actually have to put cost into consideration when you're dispensing or prescribing medication. Then agents that have proved efficacious and tolerable in the past should be favored. So before you start an individual on medication, you actually start by psychoeducation. So this is basically giving them insight on their diagnosis and the possible risk factors that could have led to it. So you actually need to explain to someone what they have before you start them on medication. It actually improves on compliance. Then for us, you actually need to insist and tell the patient that antidepressants are usually not addictive, because many patients would think that once they start medication, they usually would not be able to actually stop taking it. So some drugs might have side effects, but most drugs are usually, side effects are usually transient. But if there are side effects that are more long-lasting, we usually encourage the doctor or the healthcare provider to actually switch the medication to something that is more tolerable. So for most antidepressants, the drug does not usually work immediately. So for most antidepressants, if you start taking an antidepressant today, most of the drugs will start working in about 2 weeks. So that is something that the patient should actually get to be aware of. Then if one agent doesn't work after a specific time, others will be tried. So constant review is actually needed. Then usually we start at the lowest therapeutic dose, scaling up. So we usually don't want to start with very high doses. We start low, and then we go up. Then we continue medication at therapeutic doses for up to 12 months before gradually tapering down in patients with a single episode of uncomplicated depression. But in people who have complicated depression or recurrences in depression, medication can actually be taken for 1 to 3 years. So in people who are going through grief or bereavement, usually a diagnosis of major depressive disorder is generally not given unless the symptoms are still present. That's the depression symptoms are present 2 months or more after the loss. So because, if someone loses a loved one, feeling sad, loss of energy, lack of sleep, all those would be justified, because losing someone is usually not easy. So there are other, I don't know if I can call them substances or herbs or nutraceuticals that we also usually keep in mind. Okay, I'm not a herbalist, but there are some that I'll just mention because there are studies around them, and some actually help in terms of improving the symptoms of depression. Some supplements, including ginkgo biloba. Tryptophan is basically an amino acid that usually makes up serotonin, which you said is the major neurotransmitter that controls mood. Vitamin D is also very important, especially in people who have seasonal affective disorder, where changes in the seasons, for example, winter, would actually bring about depressive symptoms. Magnesium as well has also been shown to play a role in controlling in managing depression. So other things that we usually encourage our patients to do would just be mindful of their health as well. So other than psychotherapy or counseling and medication, we also promote reflexology, exercise, meditation, massage, guided imagery, yoga, deep breathing exercises, depending on the symptoms that individual clients present with. So there's ongoing research, especially in terms of the interventions to reduce response time of antidepressants, because as I earlier mentioned, antidepressants usually take at least 2 weeks to start working. So you see, if someone is depressed, you also have to keep a very close eye on them, especially people who are either suicidal or self-harming, because most of the meds usually start working within 2 weeks. Research that is ongoing is in terms of those would be my references, and I am done with my presentation.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Brenda, for that presentation. That was an awesome presentation. And I know now we have knowledge about what depression is and signs and symptoms, and also what you can do if you're going through depression. And I think something that surprised me from your presentation was the statement that it is twice common in women than in men, with 20% of women experiencing depression. I thought it was the other way around. But I think at the beginning, I didn't understand why, but then I saw that this also include postpartum depression and hormonal. And then I wanted to ask a question. I don't know whether, or let me hold it at that. We first hear from Daktari, then I'm going to ask this during the question and Q&A session. So I'm going to welcome Daktari so that he can give his remarks and also his comments and insight on this topic. Daktari, you're welcome.
Thank you. Susan, can you hear me? Tell me whether I'm muted or not.
Yes, we can hear you, Doc.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Dr. Brenda Ubani. This is a very heavy-duty topic because this is deep science, okay? For all those who are feeling heavy after listening to all that, is because it's heavy-duty. It's not lightweight material, so it's gonna take a little while to digest for everyone because it is jam-packed. And thank you so much, Dr. Ubani, by teaching at a very complex topic in a very, in a short 30 minutes presentation. That's good. So I don't want to take a lot of time because I don't want to leave the room for questions. But what I would like to say is that eventually let's talk later. We can talk about therapies like treatments that are accessible to us people. The general population. Like what you're calling alternative, let's say alternative treatments without pharmacology. Things like you said, exercise, yoga, reflexology, what else? Breathing exercises, meditation. And I think we can go that later on in March. But then, Susan, back to you so you can ask your question and then we can discuss those things in greater detail.
Yeah, I think Dr. Mbane just dropped off.
Oh, she did?
Yes, she just texted me that she lost the power in her area just got lost. So I don't know.
How convenient.
Yeah.
Router is turning off the power just when we need.
I know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very heavy topic. I think the key here is to understand, because it's possible for someone to stop the onslaught of depression, the depressive symptoms himself. And as we have heard, she has said that depression affects 20% women more, than men, 20% of women in a childbearing age. And you understand why, because women are going through hormonal changes on a continuous basis every month. Is that cycle every month. Men don't have such a cycle. Men, they just stay with their own cycle, one cycle. So, but these hormonal changes predispose women to getting depression, you know, just hormonal imbalances that the body has to balance the hormone. And then, of course, there is the added problem of contraceptive pills because they are also hormones, particularly estrogen pills. Estrogen, hello? But progesterone, I think somebody said something. Yeah, progesterone based contraceptions, which can increase the incidence plus other predisposing factors. Yeah, but now when you get the depression, what do you do? That's the question, because is there a way to prevent it from recurring or even to prevent it from beginning? But I think physical exercise, really getting your body in shape, like staying in shape, being svelte, I think it's very, very helpful. That's where exercise, and I think what we would like to know is what specific exercises could you maintain for yourself in a routine way so that they can help you stay away. And that comes now to the behavioral therapy. What exercise behaviors should you adopt to maintain you on the positive side of life? Because when you exercise, you take the attention away from the thoughts. So for example, if you go out for a run, running, even if you're running at a regular speed, low speed, maybe 5 kilometers per hour, or even 2 kilometers per hour, that alone is going to take your mind away from this cascade of thoughts. So long if you concentrate on the running, the steps. I remember when we went to the National Youth Service. So you see, I'm graduate of the National Youth Service a long time ago. They taught us to run counting. As you're running, you're counting the steps. But you don't count them 1 to 100, you count 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So when you count that way, you get into a rhythm. That rhythm alone for the steps that you're counting 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You're counting 1, 2, every step you're counting. By the time you run for 1 hour, your mind has resettled. You could say that. It has shifted back to where it was before. And then you're actually secreting better hormones. You reduce the secretion of hormone of stress, which you know is cortisol, and you start secreting better hormones, the hormones of pleasure, hormone of the dopamine itself. So that alone, and that is why exercise, just the basic exercises like running, will help you do that. They are known as aerobic exercises. Now, if you can't run because you're exercising some certain disabilities, you can do exercises in one spot at home. This is why you exercises at home, things like yoga. Yoga is not practiced at all. It's not in the African culture to do yoga. But today, there is no African culture or European culture or Asian culture. Yoga descended from the Himalayas, let's say, somewhere in Asia, or let's say Middle Asia, and then spread out to East Asia, even Far East Asia, and it's highly therapeutic. Yoga is a stretching exercise, just stretching your muscles, but you stretch and hold. And yoga helps you to exercise the entire body, all the muscles of the body. So, and I think what you want to do, particularly if you're a lady and you're getting through these hormonal imbalances, you're at home, get a video from YouTube, a YouTube video that can walk you through yoga exercise. Because if you're locked up in your own apartment, you cannot go out running, or maybe something is happening, you just do yoga. Yoga is very, very good. And yoga is going to help you also redress the hormone balance to start secreting the right kinds of hormones. And you need to do yoga for at least 1 full hour. Don't do yoga for 5 minutes and say you are done. Okay? Now that is cheating. Never cheat on your exercises. It's like what Frederick told me one day, never cheat on exercises. So exercise, but do not cheat, because who are you cheating anyway? Who are you cheating? By doing it for 5 minutes or even 15 minutes and then saying that's enough. That is not enough Okay, 1 hour. That is a prescription from me. 1 hour of yoga is gonna give you, even gonna help you regulate the breathing. This deep breathing, because part of the yoga exercise is that deep breathing. Why does breathing matter? You know, breathing is called inspiration. Inspiration. Breathing in, you have to make sure you breathe in deeply enough so that you expand, or even the tiniest airbags. Those airbags are known as alveoli. Now, if you're doing shallow breathing, the little airbags do not receive oxygen. That means the blood that's going to those little airbags does not get oxygenated. Guess what you need to make you feel happy? It's oxygen. You don't need an injection or even a tablet or a pill to make you feel happy. What you need is to have enough oxygen loaded in your hemoglobin going to your brain and circulating your brain. So your brain is swimming, your brain cells are swimming in hemoglobin that is fully loaded with oxygen. And that is what makes you feel good. You see, when oxygen is applied in sufficient quantity to your brain, then the brain secretes dopamine, the right hormone for happiness. And even that serotonin, you see, serotonin, she said, comes from the alimentary canal. The alimentary, what's called but serotonin also is being secreted in that dopaminergic pathway. So serotonin is going to be activated when you have good supply of oxygen to your brain. So breathing exercises, that means expanding your alveoli, breathing in every day deeply, then breathing out slowly. Okay, breathing in slowly. And then you see you're doing that during your yoga exercises when you're sitting at home. So I think what you can do is look for a video that you can download from YouTube, and you can be using that to prompt you to doing yoga exercises. Now, the other technology that you use for that is called meditation. Meditation is arresting the flow of thoughts that are coming to your mind. Okay, because your mind, you generate about 60,000 thoughts every minute. Yeah, you think about this, then you think about that, you think about this. All these things are coming in, they're coming through your system, whether you like it or not. That the mind is manufacturing thoughts. But those thoughts are the ones that eventually disrupt your hormonal system. So people who know how to meditate, they are able to shut down that flow of thoughts. It's very, very hard to do. It takes quite a bit of discipline. If you're not disciplined enough, you cannot meditate. But see, we talked about running, counting 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 for every step. That's a form of meditation, because when you're running, you're actually taking awareness to the steps. You're counting the steps. 1, 2, 1, and that's when you get into the flow. That flow, like when you're running, is what gives you that dopamine. It's a form of meditation. But then when you're doing the meditation seated down, you want to gain access to that flow. It's called the flow. That flow comes from those big, nice hormones of happiness getting secreted in your brain cells, or in your brain. So that flow comes, according to most people. Now, the simple meditation process is listen to your breathing. Listen, sit still, very quiet, sit very, very still. And when you close your eyes, because you have to sit like a yogi, of course, you sit down on the floor, and then you concentrate to your breathing. Yeah, you're not doing anything like deep breathing or anything, just the breathing in, breathe out. And when you're breathing in, even 5 minutes, and as soon as you concentrate on your breathing, concentrate on the breathing, and then you stop any thought that comes into your mind. Okay, I can tell you to try that. You will see that you cannot breathe. You cannot have 2 cycles of breathing, like breathe twice, without thinking about something else. So how do you stay focused like that? Is practice. If you practice breathing, by the end, like if you can actually do it for 5 minutes of that kind of meditation, you will find that you feel so much better meditating. So if you don't have 1 hour to do yoga, you don't have 1 hour to go out running, you don't have 1 hour to do anything, you can do meditation. Meditation also, if you cannot focus on breathing, you can now set your attention to your body. Like when you're sitting, you think about your toes when you're sitting down. You're sitting down comfortably, your feet are firmly planted on the ground, and then you take your mind, your attention to your toes. It means you think about the small toe, you focus on the small toe, focus your attention to the small toe, then to the next toe, then to the next toe, and even all the way down to the big toe, then you can feel it. Then you focus your attention to the foot itself. And then you focus your attention to the shin of the foot and the ankle joint. And you focus your attention to your ankle joints, and then you come to the tibia, that means the leg. Think about the muscles of the legs. Feel them. You want to feel them. You're not even moving them, you're just feeling them. Feeling. Send that feeling to your muscles of the leg. And then you keep going up that way to the knees. And then once you go to the knees, then you go to the thighs. You focus your attention, you set your feelings to your thighs, and keep going like that. Go to your now loins. Then you focus on your loins. You feel every step of the way. Then you come out to the abdomen. You feel it. And then you keep going up that way to your back, your kidneys. Then you don't know where your kidneys are because you've never seen them, but focus on them. Then after that, you go upwards, go to the chest, and then feel your chest muscles. And then you go up to the shoulders. Then from the shoulders, you go down to your arms, your upper arm. You focus your attention there, you feel it, and you can actually feel each muscle the work is doing, you appreciate it. And then you come to the forearms. That means all the muscles of the forearm, of what they do, appreciate each one of them. And then go to the hands. Then you go to the fingers, feel them, see. Then after you finish that, go to the neck muscles. You feel the neck itself, what it does, appreciate its work, what it is doing for you right now. And then when you go up there, you go upwards to the mouth, you feel it, the nose, the eyes, then the ears, and then you feel yourself, your being. Now, by doing such an exercise, you go through your entire anatomy, appreciating it. You see what that does by focusing on yourself. You're not focusing on anything outside there. Your thoughts that if you're having ugly thoughts of things about you think about the world, they stop coming in to your consciousness. And if you can stay focused that way, even if they try to enter, for example, now we have had a new president elected here in the United States. If that thought of Mr. President comes into my head, I tell it, I'm thinking about my toes. Then you focus on your toes and you see your toes and what they're doing at that moment. Now that is getting to the present. It's got the power of now. You get present here. So you get present with the situation. According to people who practice yoga like that, they get access into higher consciousness. First of all, you are going to release a lot of good hormones. That's not a useless exercise. It's just like running helps you secrete sweat. When that sweat also comes with the new hormones, the hormone of happiness. You get into the flow. Yoga, by focusing on specific organ, step by step, all the way to the top. Then you're going to get what? To get the flow again. See, like when you reach the nose, you're focusing on the way you are, on the way the nose is working, breathing exercise. So Now, breathing is the shortest, the greatest shortcut you can do if you figure out how to do breathing exercise, which you can do for 5 minutes. And people who are very good at it, they say they are actually able to get into that state in full meditation for 5-minute breathing exercise. Okay, so if you cannot do all those things, like you cannot do yoga because concentrating, there's so much distraction. You're speaking about your baby, something's going on, there's noise. Then walking, and of course, walking without running, just walking. But when you're walking, you're doing mindful walking. You see what the people in yoga call mindfulness. Mindfulness is minding the specific sensations. Like for you, minding what you're feeling in the toes, minding what you're feeling in the legs, minding your breathing. That's called mindfulness, according to them. That's according to the yoga tradition. So mindfulness is what helps you to rebalance your hormones in the system, and you feel good, you get the flow. So that is what I would like to add there. Now, in terms of other ways, Dr. Brenda talked about non-pharmaceutical treatments based on diet. Which diet help you to secrete the better hormones? Now, and which diet causes you to secrete the bad ones? Because the bad hormones include cortisol that actually increases more stress for you. And I will start talking about the bad ones. First of all, alcohol. All right, alcohol is a bad diet. Stay away from alcohol. Now, even if, for example, if you have mild depression, alcohol is a depressant. You see, when people, when they're taking alcohol, they feel like they are very happy and high, and the mood is elated. It's not because alcohol stops the depression. Alcohol switches off the higher centers. So your cognitive centers is switched off. It's like entering a room that is in darkness. And then that means because it's dark, it doesn't mean that that room is empty. You might walk in there and find a lot of bad things. So what alcohol does is to switch off. So you feel happy because you have lost judgment. Alcohol interferes with your ability to judge situations. So don't take alcohol. Alcohol is poisonous. That's bad. Another diet that is also very negative is simple sugars. The simple sugar that you add to your tea, to your coffee is not very helpful. So because it doesn't help generate the good hormones. Sugar is also poisonous in the long term because ultimately sugar, promotes inflammation. And so that's why sugar comes with a lot of negative press. But people love sugar because sugar is very sweet. But you can get sugar that is not simple, from fruits. Fruits have got sugars, but they are not simple sugars. So if you want to eat something sweet, eat fruit instead, the whole fruit. Not the fruit juice that you buy from supermarket, because the manufacturers are not, they are going to add some simple sugar to make their fruit juice taste better. But if you buy your own pineapples, you buy your own mangoes, they have their own natural sugar. The body has to do some work to extract that natural sugar. It's called sucrose, to convert it into simple sugar. And that work of converting that complex sugars into simple sugar is what is desirable. But besides that, we have certain products that they're called like phytonutrients. Like what we talked about the other day when we were talking about plants, you see plant therapy. We are talking about grains that contains, or even seeds, or even leaves that contain active products that can improve your health. Things like tryptophan. I know tryptophan itself, which I've seen is a precursor element for serotonin, is to be found in a wide range of leguminous plants. Tryptophan is it's an amino acid which will appear in beans. So if you eat beans, instead of eating white maize, white starch, I think you're doing fine. And then you have tryptophan is also to appear in turkey meat, but we don't have turkey in Kenya. I don't know whether tryptophan is in chicken, but see, when you're eating proteins, that means instead of putting too much starch in your diet, you have proteins, because proteins have got these amino acids that are really, really good. And I think eggs got a very negative press in the 1990s, but I think eggs are very, very healthy, because we are talking about foods that are superfoods. Superfoods are the kind of foods that you can eat and they take care of everything. They give you energy, they give you the bodybuilding power, they help to balance your hormones. These are foods that are called superfoods, things like eggs, even whole milk, and grains, and fruits and vegetables. So that type of diet, first of all, diet that is full of fruits, vegetables, and right proteins, beans, and eggs, and it's very good. It's very good for your alimentary canal. As you hear, these hormones come from, some of them are manufactured in the gut. That's what people say, I am thinking with my gut. My gut told me. See, that thing of the gut telling me, your gut talking to you is real, because your gut has got a brain. That brain in the gut, it relies, that brain that is in your gut is determined by what you are eating. So your gut is the center of your thinking. And if you have a gut that is having trouble because you're giving it too much alcohol to think you're going to feel better, you're eating a lot too much carbohydrates to think that you are not having enough energy, and so you're eating food that's undesirable, then your gut is not going to be very, very happy. And if your gut is not very, very happy, you're also going to be very, very unhappy. That means you're going to be very, very depressed. So, and we see, if you're eating food that's giving you gut problems like constipation, you will find that you're eating food that is not willing to go through and come out on the other side. So, and you know how to prepare good food, because it means a lot of vegetables, green leafy vegetables, so that you can get enough of that tryptophan. Yeah, I think even Sukuma Wiki has got such we need to do much more analysis to find which vegetables are going to evoke secretion of hormones of happiness. Leafy vegetables, grains, superfoods, and magnesium. We have said magnesium. Magnesium is in very, very high quantities in watermelon. So watermelon is very sweet. That sweetness of watermelon is not simple sugar. So even magnesium in watermelon, and I think watermelon is now getting quite ubiquitous in Kenya. These are things that would help you stabilize your mood. Because watermelon contains magnesium, and it's jam-packed with a lot of other phytonutrients, plus a lot of water. Because after everything is said and done, you need to drink copious quantities of water. If you don't like to drink just plain water, eat watermelon. That's why it's called watermelon, because it comes loaded with water. So, and you eat watermelon, And that watermelon is going to give you all these nice phytonutrients, including help you balance your mood, you feel better. And so these are things I would like to add. And I think we can, in terms of like what you can do on your own, number one, you said figure out exercise, simple exercises, but let's those exercise opportunity for exercise become opportunity for meditation. Exercise without meditation is pointless. It's not going to get you there. Don't go to exercise and then you're yelling out to even. I mean, exercise becomes opportunity for conversation with other people. Exercise is position for turning your thoughts inwards. So it's not the time for you to be collecting thoughts from out there. Is stopping those thoughts from coming in so that you can focus, say, in the running by counting 1, 2 as you're running, or you can by doing meditation, minding every organ or every joint, every level of your body, minding your whole human anatomy all the way from the toes of your feet up to the hair in your head. And then even breathing exercises. And then the food that you're eating, diet. So that's why it says exercise and diet is the primary therapeutic. But then, of course, if those things are not doing it, now that combines with what Dr. Brenda told us is about getting into a therapy program, get cognitive therapy or behavioral therapy. But a lot of these things, if you say that you don't have the money to pay all that, there are certain things that you can be doing by yourself. Then eventually, there's something called logotherapy, which was given to us by this man who wrote The Man's Search for Meaning. What is logotherapy? I think that is now that's a deep psychiatry. Logotherapy, I think, is the same thing as mindfulness. Logo means using logic, because it's about how you search for meaning. But if you practice that mindfulness, like minding your anatomy, I would say that minding what your body is doing. Minding what your body is doing, just concentrating on what your feet are doing, what your toes are doing. Concentrate on what your legs are doing right that moment. That brings your mind to a stop position. That is stop having all these thoughts coming and invading you. That's what I would like to add. Maybe there are questions. You say that Dr. Brenda has dropped. Susan, did Dr. Brenda ever get to rejoin us? Okay, Susan is not okay. Frida.
Yes, no, she was not able to rejoin.
Okay.
Yes.
And so, what about you had a question? I don't. You had a question.
Yes, I can see we also have other question. Liz, thank you so much for your question. Is depression genetic? Like you may find in a family, the father, the children have depression.
Yes. What Dr. Brenda said, genetics, yeah. And I don't know. Well, the question is, have they isolated the depression gene? Yeah, but there's a doctor here called Dr. Calcadio here in Massachusetts, Mass General Hospital. And he isolated the depression gene. So depression is genetic, not all of it. He said some people some people are predisposed to depression by genetics 2 to 3 times. If the father, if say like, let me say just how it is inherited, is autosomal recessive, if that means something. Autosomal recessive means this, that the depression gene could be in a person like the dad, and then he gets depressed, like severe depression. But it doesn't mean that all the children are going to be depressed. Even none of the children may be depressed in the second generation, which is called the G1. Let's say father is G0 or generation 0, and then he gets married and has got babies. Should these children, none of them may show, but they actually can carry that gene, which is autosomal recessive, but it can express itself in a grandchild. So it means that the pattern of depression is not dominant, it's not autosomal dominant. Yeah, is autosomal means that it is not in the sex hormone. There are sex hormones, not the sex chromosome. There are sex chromosomes that say that determine if it appears in boys, it be in boys only, or if it appears in girls, it's just going to be in girls. That would say it has got sex, sexually, sex. I mean, or you say gender. It's inherited along the gender lines. But no, depression is not inherited along gender line. It's autosomal, meaning that it's the body of the chromosome, but it is not dominant, meaning it's not going to manifest or express in every generation. It jumps generations. Okay, yes. So that's why you can see some families have got depression, their grandchildren, and if they're very unlucky, that gene expresses in every single one of the generation. Okay, there's nothing you can do about that except being aware of that is important, so that you can be practicing these mindfulness and exercises. It's called countermeasures. You can practice countermeasures that are going to prevent the depressive illness from expressing itself, because that you can override it. If you're aware of that, if you see there's depression in family, then if you do exercises, as we said, and you do mindfulness, as meditation, even yoga, you will be able to override it. Okay? Yeah. Just it's a similar type of inheritance patterns to diabetes. So if you know that you have diabetes, you have your family is predisposed to type 1 diabetes, for example, then you can be doing things that are going to keep because diabetes is also a hormonal disorder. That's going to help prevent the expression, or even help the body to utilize the blood sugar much more efficiently instead of becoming resistant to the insulin. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Doc, for that. The next question is, can discussion help to prevent depression?
Talking.
Yes. Discussion. Yes. Okay.
Sharing. I think the question is sharing. Yes, discussion has to be sharing. You see, discussion is a wrong term because this discussion means percussion. You know, like the way you beat a drum so it makes noise. So that's discussion talks. It's percussive, because what you are asking is whether sharing your story or sharing what you're going through, but you need somebody who is listening. Sharing is the primary therapy for stopping the symptoms from coming. So as you're doing your breathing exercises and as you're doing your yoga, you're minding your diet, then you're also sharing these moments. And it's what's called cognitive therapy. So I think the answer to your question, what that cognitive therapy is a discussion to help you about to help you think positively about things instead of the negative thoughts that depression tends to inject into your consciousness or into your awareness. And that's that discussion, but you want to discuss with somebody who knows what he's doing. Okay, it's a facilitated discussion with a therapist. But then of course, for example, if you're in a relationship, marital relationship or spousal relationship, if you're discussing with a spouse who really does not understand what's going on, then it can aggravate. That's why that discussion can be negative if the person that you're discussing with is not listening to you, and then you feel that you're misunderstood, then actually it escalates the situation. So it requires discussing with someone of understanding. That's why going to a therapist is important. Cognitive therapy, and because when you're discussing, what makes the discussion very hard is when the person you are telling who doesn't understand, it just can be judgmental, judging what you're telling them, and then becomes a reactive, then becomes dangerous. After that, in the process, because after that, you don't want to talk to that person anymore because the person doesn't get it. Mhm. So cognitive therapy is a dialogue. Dialogue is when you are speaking with someone or sharing your story, and that person is receiving what you are sharing. That person is receiving what you're sharing. Instead of listening to you and judging you and telling you, thinking how they're going to react to what you're saying, instead of reacting to you, that person becomes responsive. So in a discussion, you want to discuss with somebody who is responsive to you. Yeah. So I think that's why. So being alone is not very good, because if you stay alone, because depression means that what you used to enjoy, you're not enjoying anymore. You don't even want to talk to people. So finding people to talk to is important. And I think if you're the one going through the process, what you want to understand is that a lot of people may not understand what you're experiencing. And you can tell them things, and then they give you a very, very funny kind of response, and then you feel bad about it. So now you have the responsibility that when you speak to someone and someone responds to you, and then you can feel this guy did not get it, didn't understand what I was saying. Do not get angry with that person. Okay? Do not get angry at all. Just understand that person did not understand what you say. Don't even get frustrated. Now, the worst thing is that you get a bad reaction from the person you're telling something, and then you get angry about it. That does not help you. So, and all these things are written in the Sermon on the Mount for those of you who read the Bible. Read what Jesus said about these things. He said, resist not evil. Resist not evil means that when somebody says something very negative, and you are so positive about what you're saying, and then this person comes and tells you something so negative about it, resist not. Don't try to fight it. Don't get angry with it. It is written for the days of the old, a tooth for a tooth and an eye for an eye. But very, very, I tell you, resist not evil. And then he said that if your enemy, slaps you on the right cheek, give him the left one also. If he asks you to go for a mile, go with him too, or twine. And then if he asks you for a shirt, even give him your coat also. You know what that does? Is that when you don't resist what the person is telling you, don't argue back, you don't push back. When you don't push back, you become so relieved, because you first of all admit you get to understand this person has not understood what you're saying, and that's that. And the person, and then you don't need to argue or quarrel or do anything. So it becomes a dialogue when you are receiving the love this person is trying to give you. Okay, so you receive, you have the responsibility. That's how now discussion becomes a dialogue, when you don't perceive any evil in what the person is responding to you. Okay, just know, then you forgive him, for he knows not what he's saying. If the person becomes very nasty, like try to ridicule you for not doing, not coming up, not being man enough, or not being macho enough, not being this enough. Just let them. Don't even tell them that you don't know what they are saying, but just let them feel like they have got your message. And in fact, after some time, they're going to stop saying such things. Okay. Yeah, but don't try to correct them, because if you try to correct them, become defensive. Then it becomes not a discussion, becomes a percussion, becomes a fight. But yes, so be open to discuss with people. Don't get disappointed with people when they are not understanding what you're saying. Resist not evil. Okay, you understand that. So that you can, the principle of resisting not evil is what's going to help you get through what's called difficult conversations, because the conversation can be difficult when, if you are depressed and the person is not understanding, it becomes a very difficult conversation. But if you resist, the conversation gets worse, goes into escalation, and then everything collapses. Okay, that's a good question. Next question, Susan.
So the next question is, can prayers, more so praying in tongues, prevent depression?
Yes, most certainly, if you believe. Prayers, praying in tongues. Now, the idea of praying in tongues is highly misinterpreted. Praying in tongues really is not therapeutic, but if you believe it, that you're speaking in tongues is similar to meditation, because it means when you are talking that language, you have shut down the flow of thoughts. That's what's about, basically. There is nothing mystical about it. It is that when you are talking, I mean, because people invent languages, just like when you're going out running, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, like in the military, what they do, or NYS. It is also similar to speaking in tongues, because you are talking in a different language. At that time, you are not thinking about anything. So prayer is mindfulness. This is the other word for mindfulness, by the way. When Jesus was teaching people how to pray, his disciples, that is what in Matthew, I can't remember Matthew, he said, teach us how to pray. I think it's right after the Sermon on the Mount. I think it's like Matthew 8. What Jesus was referring to as prayer is asking. Okay, so what Jesus said, that's not the way the prayer has been interpreted by the church today. For Jesus said, if you look again in both Matthew and Luke, he said, when you pray, you enter into your closet, and you ask your Father, you ask the Father, God the Father, to give you what you want. You pray in secret, and what you pray for in secret, my Father in heaven will give you openly. Okay, so prayer is not what you hear now, people shouting out things there. It's not about shouting. It's not called vain repetition. Yeah, and then he went on to say that he wants to give you an example. Like, if a man who has got a man had a friend, and he said that the friend came to his house at night and started banging on his door and telling, "Oh, my friend, I've got 3 friends. I've got friends who have come to visit me, and they give me 3 loaves." I think they were specific, 3 loaves. And the friend said, "My children and myself are in bed right now. We cannot give you the 3 loaves because you are asleep." But then that man kept on knocking. He did not leave. And then, because of his importunity, his friend came down and gave him what he wanted. And that means that when you pray, importunity means you ask without ceasing. You ask without ceasing. Ask without ceasing. What are you asking? And this is why the question is important. Prayer, asking. Ask without ceasing. If you're going through all these complexities, difficult problems, you want to picture the future. You want to picture yourself in a state where you're not depressed, where everything is good for you. Everything is positive. Let's be on the positive side. Keep your eyes on things above. That's what you're asking for. And if you ask my Father in heaven in secret, My Father in heaven will give you what you ask for, so long as you continue asking. That's what's called revision, a state of repentance. That you might see things, life is very bad, it's very gloomy, things are not working. So what you want to do, change that picture. Change that picture of gloom, of the gloominess, the down life, the what's going on, this so bad. Replace it in your own consciousness. Replace that picture with a picture of happiness. Life is very good. You have got a job. You're earning enough money. Everything is good for you. Positive. Okay. You replace that picture with the positive picture. You replace the negative picture with a positive picture in your consciousness. So you start living a positive lifestyle. Now that is what's called prayer. And then you see it every moment. That means that you go into your closet. You go into your closet and you close yourself in there. That means that the closet you are talking about is your consciousness, where you are seeing the positive side of life. You're not seeing negative things, those negative things anymore. You erase them in your consciousness. You remove them. Okay, you remove them and you don't allow them to enter there. That is what's called prayer. Now, prayer is remaining in that state that the Father in heaven is going to reward you, because he's going. The friend opened the door and gave him the 3 bread he was asking for. Then he said, if a human being can do that, what about my Father? What do you think my Father can do? So this means that God is able to give you what you're asking for on the positive side and get rid of that negative side, so long as you remain there. You see, this is the shift of your consciousness. That's what prayer is about. Forget about all those bad things. That's why when you're meditating, like when you're doing this mindfulness, you're feeling your toes and you're feeling the good job that your toes are doing. You're feeling your legs and you're feeling the good job that your legs are doing, because they're still there with you. So life is not bad at all. You are there. You are full. You are full and complete. You are not. Your toes are moving that they should be moving. So this depression is an idea that tells you things are not working. So that's what prayer is about. So prayer is not vain repetition. You know, that also follows in that statement from the disciples. He was saying, don't be like the Pharisees who go to the street corner and they shout out what they're praying. Don't be like the Pharisees. Okay. Now, then he said, he warned them. He warned them and he said that do not beware of the righteousness of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Okay. So what means that when you pray, you go inwards, close the closet, and you pray secretly, and my Father in heaven is going to reward you openly. That means if you stay positive and you stay on that side, you replace the image or in your consciousness of the negative life with a positive image. You replace that and you hold it there, and you assume that your life is good. It's called assumption, the power of assumption. You stay that way, and when you pray, that's what you're praying, that life is positive like that and stays that way. You visualize it. But as soon as you doubt it, it crumbles. So long as you stay positive in that side, prayer is going to help you. Yes, because if just an ordinary man can come down and open the door and give the friend his loves, then you can imagine my Father in heaven will give you 1,000 times or 1 billion times. See that? That's how prayer is positive. Read again that scripture in Matthew so you can really understand what prayer really means. Be positive all the way through. There's no room for negative. And you see that story begins the way there in Matthew 5, in the Beatitudes, and then it comes down, he talks about resist not evil, and what we just said a few minutes ago, and then it goes on to talk about prayer, when you pray. Hey, yeah, that's what Hi Lord, teach us how to pray. That was the answer. Okay, now you know.
Okay. Oh, sorry, did I cut you short?
Yeah, because you didn't cut me short. I was just saying I know, but this whole thing has been misrepresented by all these guys who misinterpret the Bible in which way they want. Yeah, go ahead, Susan.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc. We have another question. How does depression differ from sadness?
From what?
From sadness.
Sadness is a symptom of depression. You know what's a symptom? A symptom is what the patient tells you. I feel sad, you see? But depression is the disease itself. So it doesn't differ. Sadness is a symptom. For example, if you have been injured, for example, somebody cuts you with a knife, you feel pain. Pain is a symptom of the wound, but the wound itself is a depression. The wound is causing the pain, but the pain is not there if there's no wound. So sadness does not occur if there's no depression. Now, depressive mood. Now, see, mood, it doesn't mean that if everybody who is sad is depressed. No, it means that that's a symptom that if that's one of the symptoms of depression. But sadness itself is a symptom indicating many different things happening. For example, if you feel pain, you could be feeling pain because you've got a cut somewhere. You could be feeling pain because you've got a toothache. It's a tooth that is aching. You could be feeling pain because you've got inflammation. For example, you have bacteria infection. You see, so pain is a symptom of so many different things going on. Sadness is a symptom of depression. And then sadness is a symptom of so many different things that will be underlying. So sadness doesn't mean that you are depressed. You could receive bad news and you feel sad. You get, like now we have received bad news that we have elected a new president. That should make some people happy, other people sad. You see? But so sadness itself is a symptom, but it does not indicate an underlying cause. So when, say for example, when a patient he talks to when a doctor talks to a patient, and the doctor discovers this patient is expressing sadness, symptom of sadness, then the job of the doctor is to find out what is causing that sadness. So sadness is not a primary cause. That's what it means. Sadness is a symptom of so many different things going on. Mm-hmm. But depression is one of the causes of sadness.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you find some continuous sadness, like continuous sadness, feeling of sadness, and we need to find out what's going on with this one, and you find out, oops, it was depression. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Doc. I can see we don't have another question.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Doc, for covering for Dr. Brenda. She lost power. Yeah, and I'm glad we went through this because this is a very important topic to discuss because a lot of people are going through depression. So thank you so much, Doc. And I'll take this opportunity to invite Frida so that she can give us the final remarks. Frida, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, Susan, for this opportunity. And thank you all for being here for this important discussion on depression. And today we came together to deepen our understanding of depression and recognizing that it is real, and most of the times it is misunderstood. And yeah, because I know it's a struggle that many people face. And whether you or someone you know has been impacted by depression, I hope our conversation today has helped you build a bridge of understanding that can make all the difference. So I know depression sometimes can feel isolating, and overwhelming, and sometimes it can also dim our perception of hope and happiness. But one thing to note is that you don't have to face the journey alone, and there is always strength in vulnerability and resilience in the act of reaching out. So we can all play a part by creating an environment, whether it's at home or in the workplace or within our communities, where we prioritize mental health and we can make other people feel safe in discussing their challenges. So depression should never be a silent battle, and we can show empathy and support, and we can make it more visible and understood and more manageable. And we should also remember that self-care is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. So as we've had, we can do our own self-care by eating healthy, avoiding alcohol and other harmful substances, meditating, exercising. All that can be beneficial to help manage depression. Yeah, so taking care of our own mental health equips us to be there for others. Yeah, we cannot give what we don't have. So we need to take care of ourselves first before we can be there for others. And it's okay to take a step back, to rest, and to seek help if needed. And when we acknowledge our own needs, we are modeling healthy behavior for those around us. And we also break the stigma that often surrounds mental health struggles. So to close, let's carry forward what we've learned here today, and let's each commit to being a source of kindness and strength for not only those around us, but also to ourselves. So thank you again for staying with us till the end, and let's continue this journey and give unwavering support for one another. So thank you very much, Susan. I think those are my final remarks.
Thank you so much, Frida, for those great insights. And yeah, we have come to a close of this meeting. Thank you, Faith Njoki. She's saying that she has learned something new for sure. And I hope everyone else have learned something because this is why we do this. So thank you so much for attending this session. I have put the form, the Learn to Earn form, where you key in your details and you get to get rewarded Actuate tokens for attending this session. So take a few minutes to go to fill in the form, and yeah, see you in our next session. Bye for now. Thank you everyone for being here. The meeting is adjourned.